Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, I walked out over a chair, and my family tore itself apart. Former co-worker got himself banned. No good deed goes unpunished. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I walked out over a chair, and my family tore itself apart. I wasn't gonna come back here again. To be honest, I'd completely forgotten I made this account. I only got back in because I'd written down the password and left it in my desk. I was listening to Reddit videos on YouTube a couple weeks ago when I suddenly heard my old AITA post. So I thought I'd give an update. Well, things escalated a lot after I made that post because I linked it to my parents and other family members after a little while. They were furious with me at first. Some even mocked me, saying things like, "Oh, watch what you say or do around OP. He might just post about it on Reddit." But when they actually read the comments on my post when I made them, they became mortified. My BIL did agree to pay for a new chair and gave me the money I asked for. I bought a better folding chair than my last one and resumed going to family functions. But whenever I was there was this air about some of the family members. They looked at me like I'd sucked all the fun out of the room. My parents had stopped thinking the chair thing was funny, and even scolded a kid for taking my seat when I got up to use the bathroom. The only problem is that this kid was my nephew. And he started crying when they made him get up. My BIL came to the boy's rescue, and my nephew ended up blurting out that his daddy told him he could do it. When I was out of the bathroom, there was a big fight about it going on. Several family members, including my sister and BIL, were all yelling that it was just a chair. And I shouldn't be so butthurt about it. My parents demanded to know why they were so butthurt about not being allowed to screw with me anymore. Like, what was their motivation after doing it for so long? It made no sense and wasn't funny anymore. And that's when I intervened. I told them none of this crap would have ever happened if they hadn't been so intent on messing with me when there really was no point to it. And I only started bringing my own chair because I could never find a stable place to sit. And if they still thought they were in the right about the situation, then they were just bullies, plain and simple. And what kind of example is that to be setting for their son? My BIL raged, grabbed my new chair and hurled it through the living room bay window. There was a bit of a pause before he realized what he'd just done, then he took off in his car and left my sister and nephew there. My parents got my sister to call him, and over the phone they threatened to go to police if he didn't pay for the damages. BIL yelled a few F-bombs until my sister took the phone back. And she said that he can either make things right or she'll divorce him. Well, that did the trick because he came back looking like a kicked puppy with his head hanging low. He apologized to me and my parents without even looking at us, said he'd pay for the new bay window and left again. My sister said he drank himself to sleep that night. My new chair was just fine. It took being hurled through a bay window like a champ. There was hardly a scratch on it. My brother hired a window company to come and replace the window. And they had to measure and order a new one before it could be installed. And until then the window had to be covered with plywood. It took some time, but they got the new bay window. And it's better than the old one. Though I imagine that it was extra expensive because it's a bay window. The family was still divided about the situation for a while. Mainly BIL's parents, my uncle, and a couple cousins. They blamed me and called me obnoxious over insisting on bringing my own chair and refusing to let anyone else use it. So I compromised. I said that if I had a good designated seat that no one will try to take away, I'll leave my chair in my car. It took 2 more family barbecues before they finally agreed to this. Since then I've left the chair in my car unless there really wasn't enough seating. And that's only happened once since. The problem is though, that even though they stopped screwing with me, they were still screwing with each other until things went too far. They still liked to take each other's seats. But I guess others were following my example, because they put their feet down and demanded it stop. It's been going on for decades, and they've had enough. Bill stayed out of the fight entirely and hasn't caused any more trouble. But for several family functions, a number of people didn't bother to show up. My mother was broken up about it because she loves hosting parties. It took months, but everything more or less normalized again. But without the chair thing going on, some have resorted to other stupid pranks. Like a little device you hook to a chair that makes farts. They didn't do this to my seat, but did it to a cousin. And said cousin got really petty at the next party and let out real farts. He said he ate a whole pack of fiber bars and had eggs for breakfast. And it was nasty. Other pranks included hiding eating utensils, a stink bomb, hiding some sort of monster thing in the toilet, cellophane in a doorway, ripping paper when somebody bends over, messing with drinks, hiding shoes, copying outfits, a container of foam packing peanuts above a doorway, and finally the one that really infuriated my aunt and uncle when a party was held at their house. A glitter bomb. They got the carpet professionally cleaned and billed the person who made the glitter bomb for it. So now pranks are just over. They don't want any more. I'm fine with that. But the last few family functions have been a bit dull. I think they were so used to how things were that now they're trying to find other ways to amuse themselves that don't involve cell phones. Bill needs anger management therapy. Wow, what a crazy family. Maybe find some games to occupy these people if they can enjoy a conversation with each other. Playing games with these people will just end in arguments or gloating or sore losers. I know because my family is similar to this. Bullying or picking on people until some just don't like going to family functions. What's a good board game where you get to screw over other players? I bet that'd be a hit. And if they play Monopoly, I guarantee another Windows will need to be replaced. Just stop going there. Those people are insane and cruel. Pranks are for 4 years PLDs who don't know any better, and stealing someone's seat will get you pummeled in a bar as an adult, so maybe don't teach that behavior to children. People need to learn that others will respond violently, and so they need to keep their noses to their own business. Someone sits in my chair and won't move, I flip the chair and smack them with it. Did anyone, other than you, ever mature past adolescence in your family? The level of immaturity is astonishing. People, especially family, should be able to enjoy hanging around, even joking, without bullying someone constantly. To target you specifically at every gathering was cruel. Glad you put an END to it and exposed Bill for the angry, cruel bully that he was as just glorious justice. I hope he got some much needed anger management, but it sounds like he learned his lesson and your nephew may have also learned a valuable lesson as well. Hopefully you and your family can arrange some games to play during your get-togethers. Our family plays bocce balls or cornhole, and sometimes we play games on our smart TV that sync to our phones, like You Don't Know Jack or other individual and team games, most times with hilarious results. Time to start new family traditions. Best wishes and many blessings. This is just bizarre. Is this chair stealing how your family shows affection? It sounds like a way to psychologically and emotionally abuse people and expecting to get away with it. This story is why I don't go to places that say they'll treat you like family. There is always that family member/members that thinks they can do or say anything and you have to forgive them because at the end of the day they're family. Nobody treats you worse than family in my experience. I agree with everyone here that they're psychos that need to find better hobbies, but like how on earth do you find stealing a chair to be funny for that long? These people need hobbies that don't include stupid pranks. Yikes. That's awesome that you taking a stand encouraged others to do so as well. As for the rest of it, I think it'll all work itself out. Some people will stop showing up, others will continue. Maybe they should start thinking about investing in some outside games. Like giant Jenga asterisk, cornhole, etc. Give them something to do and put their energy into. Parties are pretty awkward and dull if there isn't a focus to it or a schedule. Which is why wedding or birthday parties have events. Maybe come up with themes or different activities for each get-together. That's awesome that you taking a stand encouraged others to do so as well. He's taking a stand by taking a seat. It's rather poetic. Pranks are only acceptable if everyone involved thinks it's funny. Since that is rarely the case, pranks are rarely funny. If you can only find humor in someone else's discomfort, you are a bully. Your family needs to learn the art of conversation. The farting cousin who ate fiber bars and eggs got a good chuckle out of me though. Technically it hurts everyone's nose, but it's the best response to a fake fart toy. Former co-worker got himself banned. I don't normally post on here, and I'm in mobile, but this happened today and I feel like I've got to tell somebody. I work at the bar attached to a bowling alley. A few months back I had a coworker named Lou, fake name, who was a bit of a problem. He'd call out sick at the last minute with insane excuses, fall asleep on the clock when he was there, leave early most other nights, but the most frustrating thing he would do is harass and veg the customers for tips. We have a tip jar right by our register and the understanding is that we don't expect a tip because we're just taking orders at that counter and we always split evenly with kitchen because they're doing the real work, our food is too good lol. Lou was let go, and although he'd show up on the occasional league night, he wasn't a big problem, even though he'd still beg for a free drink or something. Today, he comes in, very happy to be there for someone's birthday party, and asks me to ring him up a pizza, which he complains about the price of, and asks me to slide him a cup of tea. I'm feeling generous, so I go ahead and decide to let him have the tea. My manager is laid back and usually won't mind if we things like that within reason. While I have my back turned, I hear some clanging change in the tip jar. I turn around and notice the only thing in it is a single dollar bill. I look at Lou and say, I know there was a $5 in that jar, Lou, and just stare at him. The 5 is the only thing I knew for certain was there because I remember the kind dude who dropped it in there. He drops a 5 from the wad of money he had in his hands and said sorry and walked away. 10 minutes later he comes back and has the nerve to ask me for a free refill on the tea I gave him. Told him to F***ck off and he literally stood there pouting for 3 or 4 minutes before saying he'd pay for the drink, and I sold it to him while he complained about his lack of gas money now because he had to pay $2.46 for a cup of iced tea. Decided I was done and texted my boss about the whole thing, and he went ahead and told us that Lou's gone for good. I'll never stop being surprised by some people. He stole from all of you. Yeah. Just me and the cook today. But that doesn't make it right. He's a prick and I'm glad he's gone. Should have a camera on the register. If you had video of him stealing from the tip jar, why not report him? He was stealing from you and the rest of the staff. Just a ban is going very lightly on a thief. We do have a camera and definitely could, but honestly he's just kind of pathetic. He's not worth the effort, AMO, but who knows what the boss'll do. I'm sure if he plans on reporting it he'll let us know. Can they even press charges on that? What's the charge for stealing $7 in tips? Shitty thievery? Fitting. Since you can't spell lousy coworker without Lou. Lou FA and FO don't screw with your former coworkers. Disgusting individual. I hope boss calls around and warns them about that slimy thief. No good deed goes unpunished. Here's a story from a few years back. I'm an artist and I collect antique and vintage photos. Over the last decade I've managed to amass a collection of literally thousands. One hot summer day, I was trying to look for more photos at an antique swap meet. Now, these photos are getting harder to come by. I've learned my best chance of getting a good selection is to buy an entire box of whatever photos they have. It's never cheap, but the pickings are usually good. One of my connections sold me a box that contained untold treasures, created by adding every photo and paper she had to sell. Score. Once home, I started sorting. It was a fascinating mix. Yearbooks, clippings and photos that ranged from 1870 to 1970. They covered the globe and many cultures. Imagine WW2 snapshots mixed with a 1970 powwow. Fun stuff. As I sorted photos, I placed them in subject boxes for inventory, effectively mixing my old stash with the new. That's when I came across a few surprises, some WW2 GI shots. A nameplate for a desk. Most important, honorable discharge papers, complete with name and rank. Now, I had recently found my biological paternal family and I know how sentimental these papers could be. I decided to use my resources and locate the nearest survivor. A bit of good karma is never a bad thing. It wasn't hard. Within a day, I was tracking down the sibling of the soldier. What a pleasant surprise! As I laid out a photo spread, I learned I had found not only a long-lost brother, but parents that had died decades ago. I was happy to put the items in an envelope and mail them across country. Good deed done. That's when I learned about the entitlement of this person. First, they expressed a desire to look at the rest of my photos so they could pick through them. Could I mail my entire stash across country so they could look for more photos? I explained this would not be possible. For one, I had already mixed the new pics into the old. The other issue was that I have literal suitcases full and I was not willing to acquire a hundreds of dollar postage fee with no knowledge what they would claim from my collection. I tried to refuse, and that's when I was hit with the request to do a FaceTime online so I could show every photo I had and they could choose the ones they thought might belong to their family. I again explained I had literally thousands of photos, and what's more, I had only sought to return those few marked items. I didn't have that kind of time. Also, this was simply a good deed to return a few photos. Nothing more. I wasn't planning to host a curated tour. I wouldn't risk my collection by allowing a stranger to pick through them. I decided to test their sincerity. I packed all those marked items, along with a few photos from the same time period, but not related to them, collected at a different time and regions. The promise was that they would let me know when they arrived and any photos of non-related people would promptly be returned. Yeah, right. A month later, I had to track the shipment. I was told, oh yeah. Got here weeks ago. When you sending more? The test photos were kept and not returned. I still will occasionally return a special photo or document, but I have tighter boundaries now. To do a good deed is great, but not when entitled people try to get pushy about it. But damn. These EP are making me rethink how I gather my karma. What a sucky person. But good on you for still trying to reunite these photos with their families. I would personally love to find an existing pic of my great-grandparents. As far as I know, there's only one picture of them. I literally cried the first time I saw a pic of my maternal grandmother. I look exactly like her. That's why I try to return pics if there is a clear idea of who they belong to. I believe in karma. People like that aren't sentimental, they're just hoarding. It's a shame, too, because for even what you gave them, they were shockingly ungrateful. I had a feeling that might have been the case when he requested me mailing my entire collection. Now, I think I will only try to return important documents, with firm boundaries and deadlines. More recently, I found someone's birth certificate. I tracked him down with the caveat of him having 3 days for contact, after which documents would be securely destroyed. He didn't respond, so document was shredded. That way he knew his info had been exposed to the public, but it wasn't going any farther. Did you let them know that a bunch of the stuff they'd grabbed didn't come from their family at all? Odds are, they just put whatever you sent into storage and didn't look at it, in the belief that they'd secured the family treasures for another generation. I chose photos I didn't mind losing. Given his pushiness, I thought if he kept the test pics, I could later tell him they were collected years earlier and we not his long-lost family. But in the end, I decided to just block any more contact. He was beginning to creep me out. That's a shame. I have few to no pictures of my family. I did it one time, but a tornado smashed my house and I lost a lot of memories. Then my niece found an old black and white photo of my grandmother that I had taken myself a very long time ago. She paid to have it scanned and emailed it to me. I don't blame her for keeping the picture, it's her great-grandmother, after all. If someone sent me some actual photos of family long gone out of the kindness of their heart, I would be too grateful to ask for more. It's hard, isn't it, when there is only one set of actual pictures, to decide who gets what? My friend tried out buying storage lockers. He contacted people to ask if they wanted photos and documents found in the mix. No good deed goes unpunished. He got stood up, asked to deliver, screamed at, and one armed guy came for photos, then demanded all the valuable items from his locker back. After that, sentimental items went to the dumpster. Man, this sucks. I'm so sorry someone treated you like that. I've been going through my ancestry in addition to losing both my remaining grandparents and looking at old photos. If someone had a single photo they tried to get to me, I'd be eternally grateful. This doesn't sound like he was grateful at all. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.